So, you've been playing Bone Spear and you're finally asking yourself, when can I swap over to that Mac Daddy skill Bone Spirit? Well, here's a vague guide that might help you do it in a good way, because I don't have the exact numbers for when you can do it because everything's kind of wibbly wobbly right now. The thing that you need to understand about Bone Spirit is that any essence generation issues that you had on Bone Spear are 5 times worse on Bone Spirit. So bare minimum, you need to be able to manage your essence generation. That means using an incredibly efficient corpse explosion engine, using the Blight Bone Prison engine on top of corpse tendrils to be able to generate enough essence, because ideally you want to be casting a Bone Spirit once every 6 seconds. That means you need to be able to generate all of your essence in 6 seconds, which is something that the Necromancer sometimes has trouble doing. To that end, you need a high roll on the umbral aspect on one of your rings, bare minimum. I'm actually using a second essence generation aspect on my rings, and even now I still don't generate enough. Realistically, you may also want to have the blood orbs when you're fully healed give you essence to top it off even further if you're using Blood Artisan's armor. I have one, I'm not currently using it. I think it's a little bit of a trap right now based off the rolls that I have. If you're currently asking the question, how do I keep my essence fully capped off for Bone Spear? You already cannot maintain Bone Spirit. Next, how does Bone Spirit do its damage? Well, it needs to crit. While the base skill does a ton of damage and it gets a whole bunch of multipliers from your additional essence, when it doesn't crit, you feel really bad because you cast this skill once every 6 seconds. That means that you need to crit damn near every time for the build to actually work. Bare minimum, if you have somewhere around 20% chance to crit on just your stats, ideally more than that, and this includes the Book of the Dead, and then a very high roll on Grasping Veins on a 2-handed weapon. This means that anytime that we cast Corpse Tendrils, we gain 40% crit, so that's doing a huge amount of the heavy lifting already. If you have it from the Codex of Power, it's only 20%, so you're going to need to amp up that number. But I have 25%, I have 40% from here, and I'm also using Bone Storm. Bone Storm gains me an additional 20%. So 25 plus 40, 65 plus this is 85. And then right now I have 133 essence, which means that based off of my Serration giving me 1.5 per 100, 1.5 per 10, that means that I currently gain an additional 20% critical strike chance from here. So 20 plus 20 is 40, plus 40 is 80, plus 25, I'm at 100% chance to crit with Bone Spirit. Now that's if Corpse Tendrils is up and if Bone Storm is up. When I don't have Bone Storm up, I'm only at 85%, so I'm still using the 10% chance to crit here, bringing me up to 95%. For you, you need to minimum be at 75% chance to crit with this, and Bone Storm, and your gear. So if you're not 75% chance to crit, you can't manage Bone Spirit. And then the last thing to understand about Bone Spirit is that a lot of the times it's a very close build, and in a lot of ways it is almost like the melee version of Bone Spear, because while you would want to use the aspect that says it deals more damage based off of the distance that it travels, waiting for your Bone Spirit to hit a monster is a death sentence in anything above tier level 20 for Nightmare Dungeons, so you often cast Bone Spirit right in the face of monsters. Because of that, you need to swap over a ton of the stats on your character over to Survivability, way more than you ever had to with Bone Spear. So my armor, which was previously the Blood Artisan's Cuirass to get free Bone Spirits, I've swapped over to a chest piece that says damage, damage reduction, and damage reduction. On top of that, it had high armor, and I've slotted in maximum life because we can't generate Fortify right now. But those things, and I'll just list them off very quickly, swapping over a lot of your damage over to Survivability and damage reduction, minimum 75% chance to crit with all of your procs up, bare minimum a 2 roll on Umbral and a second essence generation aspect on your other ring, and you probably want to start looking at options for getting both Bone Spirit and Corpse Tendrils onto your boots. The more ranks that you can get into Corpse Tendrils for free will reduce its cooldown by a lot more, meaning that we're able to cast this basically every time that we would be able to cast Bone Spirit. And there you go. That's what you need to swap over. I'm going to put my stamp on it. We're going to call that a day. Hopefully that's correct. if you do it earlier, just remember, don't screw up any of your Bone Spear gear, because if it turns out that you can't manage to maintain the essence and the survivability and the damage output with crit, swap right back over to Bone Spear and keep farming until you feel better on the things that I just said. Hope that helps. Good luck to you, and may the Bone Spirits be with you.